Hey guys, so today I have the privilege of being here with Alison. And like always, I start off with an intention. And today my intention is to give women what they need to give themselves permission to live in the sensualness and softness of their femininity. And I have changed the chairs today, so I may be swiveling. Ah, anyway, like if it doesn't affect the sound, but I'm just saying. And Alison, feel free to swivel anytime you like.
Because I like to move, so yeah.
Yeah, we're both of them consider. We're like, start jumping. Well, let me introduce you to my gorgeous. So, from corporate IT to Tantra healer, Alison has made the journey from head to heart and to a deeply embodied experience of life, joy, and love. Alison supports women to relax into their feminine flow of their bodies, to heal and feel safe, to reclaim their aliveness and authentic sexuality. She also supports couples to find a way back to their hearts and each other through tantric practices and renewed intimacy. Sounds juicy.
Thank you. Yeah.
What I love, I was so excited for this interview because, when I met my husband so many years ago, I really flirted. I used to love flirting. And I didn't have a language around it then, but now I know that it was that interplay between the masculine and the feminine, that real playfulness. It really made me feel alive. It was juicy and it was fun, and especially if I met like a European or South American man who knew how to handle them, right? But then I got married, and I think maybe Doug once said to me, "Oh, I don't like you flirting." I don't know if he said that, but anyway, I chose to stop it somewhere along the way. And when I chose to let that go, I let go a fundamental part of my femininity. I really felt that. I let go of that playfulness and that joy and that sensuality, which eventually, after 18 years, landed up in a bland marriage, a bland sex life, and a bland life in general, because your sexual energy is your creative energy, right? And I know you have a story too about returning back to your body and your feminine essence. So please share that with us.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I was in relationship at the time, but I had been in corporate IT for quite a number of years. And that had been, a great career in many ways. So it was quite lucrative. I got to travel the world, and I used my brain, my analytical brain, which was, amazing. There became this point in time where I realized that I was like sort of dead from here down. Like this was the only thing that was really operating, and it was a very ordered, analytical, logical, masculine deadlines way of being, right? And there was something inside of me that was like to come out, desperate to come out. And I didn't know what that was necessarily. And what I found was that I just started to get more and more burnt out, but also more and more just kind of flat. Bland is the word that you use, bland, like kind of, ugh. And so I started this journey of like, okay, I feel like I need to shift out of this career for one thing, but I also feel like I need to discover a little bit more about the rest of me that is not just my mind, and my brain. And that led me on this very big journey. I didn't know what I was getting into when I started.
I think if we knew, like, we wouldn't do it, right?
That's right. It's like I thought I was signing up for a little career change, and then, yeah, I got a whole lot more.
Oh, it sounds exciting. Tell us.
So through, first of all, meditation, yoga, things like that to kind of calm my mind and stress release were the first things that I went to. And then that led me a little bit into energy and energy work. So that started to open up a totally different world to me of things that my logical mind just could not explain.
Can you tell us a little bit more what you mean by that, please?
Yeah, sure. So one time I can give you an example. So I actually did a Reiki initiation. So a lot of people probably have heard of Reiki at this stage. Back then it was a little bit more niche. We're talking nearly 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so I'd received a Reiki session without the person knowing anything about me, to just put their hands on on my shoulders, and 15 minutes later, my tennis elbow that I'd had for like 8 months that I'd been going to physio for just disappeared and never came back. So I tucked that away in the back of my brain, right? That's weird, but something happened, right? And then a friend of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I thought, oh, maybe that Reiki thing. I'm not going to, get rid of her cancer, of course, but maybe I can just help her feel more relaxed or something like that. So I went and had this Reiki initiation. After that, everything changed. Colors, I could see colors around people.
I like auras and things.
I had all of these different insights coming in, and this kind of more intuitive sense open up where it's
Did that freak you out?
le-
Am I like, what's happening? If I got brain cancer, am I dying?
it absolutely did. And a couple of times I was in a retreat or a workshop where those kind of things started to happen. And I literally went to the facilitator and said, I think there's something really wrong with me. I think I need to go to the hospital. She went, no, relax. It's okay. There's just more of your senses opening up. And I'm like, all right, okay. So those kind of things started to happen. And the logical mind in me just did not know what was going on, could not compute.
How did you not? Because I've had Reiki done before, I think a couple of 3 to 4 times, and I didn't have the same experience
Right.
because I'm so in my head.
Yeah.
Like I'm very. So how did you then allow that to happen without your logical mind saying, cutting it out? Because that's what my logical mind. Because I remember once feeling something in my logical mind killing that.
Yes, yes, yes. And I mean, it wasn't just an easy switch. So there was a battle that went on for quite a while. But because there was such a strong feeling for me of sort of rightness, or there was a sense when those things happened, even though it was a bit freaky, that there was something very real and calm and embodied. I didn't have that language then, but there was something that it sat in my body, not up here. And I could feel the difference. And so I felt like there was something here to explore. And I do have a generally curious nature, so that probably helped. So the curiosity and the let's have a look at what this is became, over time, became stronger.
Yeah.
But it had enough juice already that I could, every now and then put the logical mind to rest.
And when I hear the difference between think and feel,
Yes.
there's a really clear distinction. I didn't think I should follow it. I felt I should follow it. Yes. And that's the embodiment, right? In the embodiment, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of the first maybe experience I had of like, okay, there's a different feeling when I listen to something that's not my mind. And it's got a different flavor to it. And I quite like it.
Sounds delicious. I mean, it does.
And so then the next, like, well, probably still to this day, has been following that, whatever that impulse or that intuitive sense has been. And that's what's led me on this kind of windy path to where I am today, which I never would have been able to envisage or imagine from the place that I was in. And it still surprises me sometimes. It's like, oh, okay, now we're doing Tantra. And that's like, okay.
I love that, and I love how we're guided. We're often guided down a path we could never imagine for ourselves, and if we just allow ourselves to follow the path, and this is my constant work, I suppose, is just follow the path, allow yourself to be guided, and be comfortable in the uncertainty of that, and not being able to control it with your mind, but really just trusting that it's always gonna work out for you is such a for me, it's a skill. I mean, a skill again that it's mine, but it's really like letting go, right? My mind's like, "No, you will not let go." I love that, and so you've been doing this wonderful work with Tantra, and I just wanted to ask you in your experiences. women who cut themselves off from their bodies, which we often do. We're so headstrong. We're often, in powerful positions and have success and have to think, think, think. We so really tap in with our bodies. So then, like, what does that look like in our everyday lives? Like, what are the patterns you see with people you work with, women you work with, as a consequence of being disconnected from our body and our feminine essence?
Yeah, there's quite a few things, and clearly I've experienced them myself, and I still can sometimes when I kind of forget or kind of flip out or there's a lot of going on, a lot of stress. So one of the big things that I see is this kind of rushing and busyness, almost for the sake of rushing and busyness. Like, it's not safe to stop, it's not safe to slow down, it's not safe to rest. So that's one big thing that I see. So mind is racing, but then the body starts to get caught up in that and kind of racing along as well.
Well, you say it's not safe to rest. Can you? Because when you said that, I think of a very close friend of mine who is a phenomenal entrepreneur and, like the matriarch of her family. But I said to her, how about you sort of meditate, constantly rushing, feeling anxious, a lot of anxiety, and like sort of meditate. She's like, I just cannot sit still. I cannot sit still. What is that safety piece?
Yeah. So one of the things, I mean, in this particular situation, I don't know this woman's,
Yeah, totally.
but from what I've seen is that when when there's a couple of things. One is that there's some value in the achieving and the doing. Okay, I'm only valuable if I'm doing something, creating something, winning.
So they self-worth like this, self-worth
It's very tied up to that thing. There is the kind of, you were talking about masculine before, this kind of way of operating in the world that is driven, that is achievement oriented, that sort of ties into that we've kind of taken that on as the gold standard, if you like. And so it's not always what suits perhaps everybody or what suits the woman's body in that particular case. So there's those things.
I like how PC, how you said it in such a PC way. It may not suit your body. I'm going to put my foot down here and I'm going to say, rushing around like a lunatic suits no one's body. Like, I don't care if you're male, female, or gender neutral.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't work long term.
Long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works for a while until it does.
Until it doesn't.
There's a big, yeah. And then there's usually a big crash.
Yes. You don't need BPC here. We can just call it.
Great.
We can call it.
Okay, great. All right. So, and then the other thing is when, like, if there is a stopping or a slowing down, then you're going to deal with all the stuff you've been too busy to look at, which is big feelings perhaps, which is discontent perhaps with what you're doing in your life, which is loneliness perhaps, or grief, or whatever it might be. That will start coming to the surface when you slow down. Yeah, as well as the realization of how perhaps disconnected you've been, how bad you've been to your own body and your own health and your own well-being and your own sense of peace.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so, I mean, yeah, so that's one example there. What I'm really interested in is like, so if I have to think of me, because I lost touch with my feminine essence, I almost walked through the world like I was small.
Yes.
And when a man did look at me or pay attention to me, I thought something was wrong with me. Oh my God, have I got a booger in my nose? So I thought poorly of myself. But I wasn't owning my space. I didn't have my shoulders back. I didn't own my feminine essence. I also became quite hard. So I became very, like black and white, right or wrong. There was no softness to it for me. And yeah, my body became stiff and so then I took myself off to Cuba and I was like, I've lost touch of my femininity. I want to go and, Cuba is known for the flirtatiousness. So I did a salsa holiday in Cuba and came back like a different person because when dancing, I have to be my feminine to follow. But also being in that environment was like, "Hey, chica," and you're like, "Yeah, hello."
Yes, yes, yes.
That what to come up for me a lot was, "I'm not good enough, I'm ugly," like all of those things from my childhood, and from school that 47 now, you think you park that shit, but, like, that's shit that's still unresolved sits there. So, like, how do we then, allow ourselves the space to deal with those things that stop us from being in our feminine, in our playfulness, and our softness?
Yeah, and I mean, they're absolutely amazing points because that is what happens. The kind of this shrinking, the kind of pulling everything in, everything getting tight, everything getting a bit hard. The playfulness goes, or the curves go literally, the flow, the sensuality.
What do you have a hair? I've got a bit of an eye thing, but, babe, we can edit it.
But this that's not the outer curve, says the inner curve. So yeah, what I'm pointing to that you found out in Cuba, because yes, in South America, like there's a different appreciation of beauty and movement and music and life. It's very, very palpable. It's very different. But you don't need to go there necessarily to get.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
You
but
could.
but what it indicates to me is the difference between this kind of the inner feeling, the inner radiance, again the embodiment, versus this idea of what we're supposed to look like. So a lot of people think and feel and relate to their body from the outside in. What do I look like? Is my body strong enough? Can it do this or that? Or if it's injured, it's like, oh no, my body's failed me. So this idea that we're looking, especially at, what are we feminine? Are we this? Are we that? Are we ugly? Are we old? From the outside in. So what's missing there is we're not actually in the body feeling what's in there, which can often be beautiful and amazing and all these amazing sensations, but they get cut off in this idea, an image of what we're supposed to be like. So from what I heard from you, you had this experience of being recognized and drawing out and feeling through the dance and the movement, moving your hips, and being, led and all those kind of things, that you felt your inner beauty and your inner radiance come out. And I was like, whoa, this feels good. And then you look at yourself and go, yeah, hey, I'm all right.
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, but how do we find the space? Yeah, that's the thing. And so what I did, I went to women's circles and women's spaces, and I started dancing, and dance had always been something that I enjoyed, but I never did as a little girl. Like I was never in ballet classes. I wasn't the right kind of shape or size or something.
I did a ballet recital thing, and the teacher said to my mum, "Oh, she tried really hard." And I realized ballet was not for me, but I'm a mean ass salsa dancer now, girlfriend, so damn that teacher.
Damn that shit. Yeah, I know, but those things stick. All those things where you get those messages from teachers or friends or parents or something, and
So you got back into dance.
yeah, into dancing and let my body start to teach me, talk to me, show me what it was capable of and what it was holding, not what I thought was right or acceptable or looked sexy or all of those kind of things. And that to me is the big difference. So putting yourself in spaces or creating spaces where there is a possibility to explore from your body. So dance is a great one, meditation, of course, but something in the kind of the feminine essence likes to move. So even the sitting still in meditate, I do meditate, but even the sitting still in meditation can be a little bit more of that disciplined,
Yeah.
let's
What's
just
the
get
body
control.
image as well? Like, sort of move your body.
Yeah.
We don't move our body. We sit.
You sit. It's
We sit.
sit.
And we sit. Right? Like, there's the move.
So sometimes, movement, breath, getting breath in there, stretching, open, like they can be really simple things, but something that starts from, what does my body want to tell me? What's my body holding? How does my body want to be in this moment? And usually that's not rushing around necessarily, or sitting still, or being tense and tight. That's not how the body best operates.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of finding spaces, whether they're group spaces where that is kind of offered as a possibility of slowing down and relaxing and finding ways to come into your body so that you're led that way, or just finding these little moments, even just putting on some music that you like and, just having a little play. And this one will come in and go, "Oh, stupid, what a waste of time. You look dumb," or something.
Yeah.
And it's a practice of going, "Yeah, okay, cool. You've got like 90% of the week. Let's give me this 5 minutes, let's give me this little bit."
Yeah, sorry. And because, again, I just feel in our Western society, we don't allow ourselves to have pleasure. Like, if we aren't burning the candle at both ends, constantly busy, like, how often do you say to someone, "How are you?" "I'm busy." Like, it's the concept, like, it's almost like it's so common now, and I often say to people, "What are you passionate about? Like, what are you working on that you're passionate about at the moment? Like, what's exciting you at the moment?" And most people don't have an answer for that. But that, for me, that feminine, that playfulness, that curiosity, what are you curious about? What are you moving? Even as I say that, I move. Yeah, have you noticed? I was like, blah, 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 right? So again, and what I also really notice with women a lot is they dress. I was just commenting how beautiful and flowy you look today, and I often wear dresses too if it wasn't so freaking cold and rainy. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's also like very masculine dress, either in activewear or, like very red. When I got back from Cuba, I would not leave the house without lipstick, right? And it sounds ridiculously simple,
Yeah.
but it was just my way of saying, I'm here to be seen and I'm going to put that lipstick on for me. And, not just like, oh, I'm just going to rush out and like really caring about how I feel in what I wear, not just like a sloppy jumper or something. It was really coming back to going, how do I want to feel? How do I want to represent myself? And I've got this dress and I wore it to salsa last night that sort of flows as I walk, it flows. And when I walk down the stairs, it just flows behind me and everyone turns around and looks. And when I turn, everyone looks because it's feminine and it's beautiful and I feel beautiful in it. And I think also sometimes we don't have that anymore. I mean, you go shopping, where do you see those beautiful clothes? Where do you see them around?
I do. You should see my wardrobe.
I don't think it's you're feminine. Like the average.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's not. It's very, yeah, there's a lot of emphasis on functional, practical. Yeah, which is totally fine, and I don't,
We're not poo-pooing it.
no, I go camping, I wear, like around the house, but the difference is for me, it's what you said about how do I want to feel? And so functional and practical is fine, most of the time, but sometimes I want to feel sexy, or I want to feel beautiful, or that color, it just lights me up.
Color. Like
Yeah.
most people just wear black.
Yeah.
Black, black, black. I'm like,
Yeah.
color, baby.
Yeah.
Color. Yeah.
And there's no one way to be feminine. That's a piece that it's bringing out the person's uniqueness. But my big thing, I think, is helping people to have the full range of themselves. Because mostly, like we've been talking about, people can get very stuck in one range, one little end of the spectrum, and that's all they can do. So when they want to explore over here, it's like, oh, I don't know how to stretch into the softness or the playfulness or
So you raise a really good point, and I this is it. I remembered when I first started doing this work, I was like, I want to be more feminine, and then what really came up for me was, what's the difference? What is feminine? What does that even mean? Like, I want to be in my feminine energy. I don't even know what that means. And we can explore that. And being feminine does not necessarily translate into what society tells me I have to be as a woman.
yes,
So can you speak a little bit to that?
yes, yes. And I got just a tiny little story on that. But when I started to explore, so after the meditation yoga, and then I was like, this feminine thing, I have no idea, right? So I went to this workshop, which Oh, no, I went to it was a meditation retreat, and I was talking about this idea of the feminine, and someone said, "Let's go out after the retreat and buy you a dress." Because at that stage, I was power suits from the corporate and, in very practical, functional dressing. And I went, "Yeah, let's go." So I try on these dresses, and I'm like, "Okay, that's not it." Like, I'm putting the dress on, but that's not changing anything about how I'm feeling inside, right? So again, it's not just this idea of what a woman's supposed to be or sexy is supposed to be. All of these things are concepts and ideas and heavily influenced by society
And by media.
and by media.
Yeah,
Yeah, and sometimes the male gaze. Yeah.
okay.
And so that excludes a whole heap of possibility and beauty if you're not whatever, thin or long hair or whatever the particular kind of, beauty.
Whatever your culture dictates your beauty to be, yeah.
It just then you're excluded from that, and it's kind of like, well, where do I sit in that? How do I find who I am as a unique being or a woman or a sexual being or a sensual being? How do I get there? And that I keep coming back to this idea. Sounds, I don't know, maybe it doesn't sound so, maybe it sounds crazy, but this idea that we come from the inside out rather than the outside in.
Oh, everything in this podcast is the inner journey.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about the inside out.
Yeah.
It's creating from the inside out. Yeah. So, yeah, because our outside world is a reflection of our inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can wear my active wear and feel super sexy and super, yeah. Or I can wear my dress like I did in that.
You're like, what is going on?
But I feel
Very weird.
yeah.
So let's look at Tantra because you work specifically with Tantra. And so when I think of Tantra, and I've got a very active imagination, I think of orgies,
Uh-huh.
nudists,
Yeah.
big, like, stuff going on in groups, people stroking each other and stuff. When I think about it, that makes me feel I haven't experienced it, so my mind is telling me that I would be insanely uncomfortable with being stroked by people. But there's so much more to it. So please explain what Tantra is to us.
Yes, okay. And you will find some things like that under the banner of Tantra. So that's why it is confusing, and that's why those, kind of ideas do exist, because some people will offer something like that under Tantra. But that's sort of one extreme or kind of one end. What For me, what Tantra has been, I mean, originally it's an ancient spiritual tradition, which in a certain way has very little to do with sex. So this idea of this contemporary or neo-tantra that's come through into the West is more about, borrows some things from those traditions and has been introduced into sexuality and intimacy quite strongly. So there is definitely that association with it, even though it's a much broader tradition. What it brings in for me is it's an inclusive philosophy, mm, way of being. In fact, it is a way of being or a spiritual path to enlightenment, to opening up, but it includes the body. It's through the senses. It's through being here in this life, in this body, that we wake up. It's through relationships. So it's got that model rather than taking yourself off to a cave or, taking yourself away or out of the body as, this is not, is an illusion. And
Yeah, the whole vessel. Yeah.
so that is a way,
Yeah.
but this is another way. And it also very much includes the feminine and the aspects of the feminine, the Shakti, the energy that moves us through the body, the aliveness that's there. So that's what drew me in. And though all of those principles can definitely apply to sexuality, to intimacy, to relationship, to connection. And they are beautiful antidotes to the disconnection that we have kind of in most of our society now, in partnership or just in general, with people,
Yeah.
their bodies, with each other. But it's not just about sex, but it is about bringing whole self, so sexuality, heart, spirit, the connections, and not cutting off this sexuality piece, recognizing that it's life force.
That's an
It's
energy.
an energy. It's as you said, it kind of, if we talk about it as Shakti, it is the thing that moves us. It is the thing that brings us to life. It is the thing that animates the world. It is the thing that brings beauty and juice and lusciousness to the world. Yeah. So if we cut that off, we get what we were talking about before, like
Yeah.
kind of dry, tight, hard, serious.
Yeah.
We
bland.
lose
Yeah.
something, that is very vital and important. So it's sex, heart, spirit, inclusive. It's body, mind, senses. It brings everything in. So that is for me what Tantra is. It's a path to living that is inclusive and brings wholeness to our physical lives, but also connects us to something greater.
Yeah. I love that. Gosh, that's really beautiful. And having followed a spiritual path for a number of years now, I have really struggle's not the right word, but I have chosen because there is this idea, as you mentioned, meditate, let go of the body, like, it's all an illusion. But then I think to myself, and then I think to myself, I wasn't given this body and this opportunity to come to this earth not to fully experience it with everything I've got, with all my senses, with and most meditation teaches you to calm the mind because the mind stops that, but it's really feeling it, experiencing it in its essence, the touch, the smell, the just all of it, like taking it all in and then just allowing it to, yeah, to make its impression on you. And I love that so much. And a little while ago, I decided to stop not wanting to experience. Does that make sense? Is it like, yeah, does that make sense? Like, so I'm like, actually, I'm here to enjoy it. I'm here to enjoy the texture of this food. I'm here to enjoy the texture of the touch. And the thing I have found is, in order for me to do that, in order for me to sit and watch a movie and enjoy the fact that I'm watching a movie, not thinking, oh my God, I could be doing. So to really stop, to be present in the moment. That's where the meditation comes in, isn't
Yes,
it? The mindfulness.
yes.
To be able to experience and not to, and I eat on the run. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I go out for dinner. I don't know why I even bother going out for dinner, like with friends, because I will scarf that dinner down in 5 minutes, and I'm like, right, I'm out, right? Which is ridiculous because I don't even taste the
Yeah.
food. I just scarf it down, but just sit there and actually just take it in. So, and we don't allow ourselves to do that again. How can you suggest what's the everyday thing we could do? If someone says that sounds amazing to me and I really want to enjoy the pleasure of experiencing things, what is that we can do in our everyday lives to start doing that?
Yeah, and for me again, it's like taking little tiny bites. If you say you've got 90% of your week or whatever, where your mind or your normal kind of routines are running. So from that perspective, okay, I'm in control. I'm doing life. I'm on top of it. That's okay. Can you take like 10% of that week to start doing something different for yourself? So one beautiful thing is breathing. So you did talk about meditation to still the mind, and yes, but you can also in Tantra, you can meditate on the body, you can meditate on the breath, you can meditate on the sensations in your body, you can meditate through sexual connection
Yeah.
as well. So they are equally and sometimes even more powerful ways to switch off the mind, because there is some real beautiful, amazing, well, there's a world of sensation going on in here that was most of the time we're not even present to. So the breath is one that I find really helpful is breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. And even with a little sigh, yeah. And you can feel your shoulders start to relax. You can feel your jaw start to relax. It reverses this thing of holding in and holding on
Yeah.
and keeping everything in. So that even in simple, every now and then catch yourself and give yourself, a couple of sighs out is one thing. Stopping with food is an amazing thing. If you could just go, can I just taste just one bite? Then I can scoff the rest down. Yeah. But just this first one, can I stop long enough to just actually smell it for a moment? So it is through the senses that we talked about before. So it is a choice, right? It is a choice to make.
Yes, it is a choice to make. I love that. I was waiting for that to come through. I thought to myself, because at the end of the day, it's about deciding that's important enough that we don't want to race through life and then look back and gone, where have the last 5 years gone?
Yeah.
I haven't experienced anything. I've just been racing through it. Instead of just going, wow, all these wonderful experiences that I've experienced in the tiniest of ways.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. It is a choice. And then, for a lot of people, the nervous system and, kind of where they've gotten themselves to in the body, it's not always easy to make that switch. So it feels like a difficult choice. But in fact, it is, can be in those very small bite-sized moments. It doesn't have to be quitting your job and wearing Floyd clothes. Yeah. Right?
Going nude.
But I was lying down and being stroked by, yeah.
Did you do that?
Yes.
How was it? I so
I've done all sorts of
I feel like God tell me I love this stuff. I had to live vicariously through you. So you did. Did I? There's nothing wrong with that. So just for me, like the idea of that happening, and I have to do it. For me, I just know myself. Petra, you don't know. The only truth I know is the truth of my own experience, right? The rest of it's just lies my mind's telling me. So you have done those things. Tell me about that. Tell us about that. Like, tell us. Exciting.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And, for me, it was that curiosity, that sense of exploration. I was doing it in that context, not of sex parties or orgies. I was doing it in that context of what I'd already discovered through Tantra, of what I'd been able to experience and feel in my body and beyond my body in these altered states. So it was coming in with that sort of idea of like, okay, what more can I experience here?
So what happened? Like, did you guys get? So what? Can you please tell us what happened?
Oh, there's various different, kind of
Okay,
various,
just people
various, but yes,
strike you and
yeah,
touch
yeah,
you.
yes. There's some beautiful practices where of being caressed or touched in ways that you want with multiple people, and that can be sexual and not sexual. Sometimes it was in those situations. So also this idea of, getting naked, almost ceremonially, and that brought up all sorts of stuff about body image and, all of those things. So it really touches those edges, but it can be very beautiful. And then when in that situation, when then say everyone in the room is naked, then nakedness doesn't become a thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't become this big sexual kind of thing. It's just like, this feels natural. This just feels like,
Yeah.
how we could be all the time. And to me, some of those experiences helped me to feel very comfortable naked for myself, just to really enjoy my body. But yeah, it can be very ecstatic to have those limits shaken up a little bit. As long as it feels safe, of like what's right and what's wrong and what's possible and what's, what I should and shouldn't be doing.
Well, that's why I wanted you to share that, because it's so taboo, like,
Yeah.
in our society.
Yeah.
Even though it's such an over-sexualized society with the swipe left, swipe right, swipe left, swipe right. But then ask someone to stand naked and just appreciate themselves. Well, we couldn't possibly do that, but you very happily meet a bar and an absolute stranger in a bar and go and fuck them in the hotel room. Like the disconnect is so immense. And that's why I really wanted you to share what that was. Because yeah, because and even if it's sensual. I like the word sensuality because I think sexuality has such stigma attached to it. But just to be in your sensuality, to sense it, to feel it. Yeah, that just sounds amazing to you.
Yeah.
And to really be comfortable, to let go enough to feel the touch.
Yes. And that's part of what can happen with this idea of surrendering some of these ideas and surrendering to that situation. Clearly, for me, I always wanted to make sure it was safe and that I still could speak up if something wasn't right. It's not about, abandoning yourself.
Yep.
But it is about letting go of the mind and having, for example, through touch, multiple people touching, the mind can't quite keep up. And so it can, and it has for me, taken me to incredibly relaxed and blissful meditative states because the mind has switched off and the body has become the prominent source of stimulation.
Wow. Sounds really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see a documentary or maybe a couple on Tantra, and they also used feathers,
Yes.
hair, like you can use different parts or different objects to feel, just to feel,
To feel.
right?
Yeah.
I'm really interested, and I want to come back on how you work with your clients lastly, but I'm really interested in this idea of how when we as women stand in the softness of our feminine, and there is also a fierceness to femininity. It's not a power hungriness, but there is a fierceness there. And how being in that energy allows the man, the masculine, to be in his energy. Because again, I found with the uh, constant search and demand for equality, it's like, we are equal, that and we've made the energies gender based, and it's not gender based. So, can you tell us a little bit about how when we are in our feminine, it allows the man to be in his masculine, and what that even looks like? What does that even mean? What does it look like for a man to be in his masculine?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question because I think how gender and everything's been set up in society limits everybody,
Totally.
right? So
Box.
it's not doing anyone much service, and there's a lot that men are dealing with as well in terms of stress, pressure. This idea of not being able to be emotional or soft or in their hearts. Yeah. So in this particular aspect that you're talking about, from the tantric perspective, more the if both people are in that kind of strong masculine, which is what can happen a lot in this culture, because the women are also kind of in the,
Yeah.
taking care and doing and all this kind of stuff. Um, Sometimes out of necessity, sometimes, a bit more artificially pumped up because of the expectations. Then it's kind of like magnets repelling, that kind of sense of, there's just charge, which kind of, who's the boss here? Who's in charge? And no one can actually just be themselves in that dynamic. So if one person softens, and let's say we'll talk about the woman softening, then there's not this repelling anymore. Then something else can be drawn out. And for a man, often what can happen is that they can relax into their ground, into their kind of steadiness. So they can become like a softer, like a safe space. Maybe not a soft space, but a heart space, but a safe space, a strong space, almost like having a tree that you could just lean into and have the shade and, kind of relax, leaning against the trunk kind of idea. that they're not having to do or prove or fight, the kind of masculine aspect in the woman. And that brings out often this sense of nurturing, protectiveness, this kind of idea of being able to take care of in a very loving, beautiful way, to provide the space for that softening and that opening to happen. And often there's a lot more kind of sexual attraction through that polarity as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so beautiful, and I've heard lots of, things around this, and I heard a guy talk about a man needs to hold a container for the feminine to feel safe, to be playful and joyful. But the woman has to allow him to provide the container, because the masculine's energy is to protect the feminine in a loving and play in a loving way. But she needs to allow that.
Yeah.
And equally, she needs to appreciate that. Like, I love that you're here to help me. I love it. And, for me, my philosophy is always like, if a man can do it for me, I will not do it for myself. That is literally my philosophy. It's not that I can't do it for myself. It's not like, and I say to women, and I used to be a dating and relationship coach, right? And I'm like, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Just allow the man to do it for you. Like when I used to cycle and have a puncture. And changing a bicycle tire is a bitch and a half. Never did it. I would just, my husband at the time would say, Petra, you just bat your eyelids. And the man came around and you just go, excuse me. And I did. I was like, why would I do it myself if I could get some lovely man to do it for me? And that's just the way I enjoy it, the way I interplay. And, and so yeah, it's interesting for me that's I've learned to do that. I've learned to let the man. I have an expectation of letting the man let me through the door first. I have an expectation that he holds the door open for me. And when he does, I genuinely thank him from the bottom of my heart. I'm like, thank you. And I look at him and I smile. Because the one thing I've really read and heard is, men really miss connection, physical connection, eye contact, smiling, because they're so worried about, oh my God, is this going to be sexual harassment? So they really do miss that, and by us allowing that to happen, because I mean, I'm a touchy feely person anyway. But I touch, and in salsa when I finish dancing, people high five. I'm like, what the fuck? I hug, but I hug properly. I don't go pat pat. I hug because I'm like, this is our connection. And then it's like, great, and I move away. It's not like I'm not hugging a humping. You're just hugging, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Physical affection has got kind of translated into sexual
Sexual stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I just really invite women to allow themselves just to, as you said, just breathe, just
Yeah.
just breathe.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a ball crusher all the time.
No, this is the thing.
Yeah. And corporate, that's will be ours, right?
You're kind of competing in a man's world in that way, often, and it becomes.
And it's interesting though, because I feel that when I brought my femininity to a business environment, for example,
Yeah.
I got a lot more leverage
Yes.
than I do competing
Yeah.
in the masculine sense.
Yes.
I'm not competing. I'm not driving. I'm just being there. I'm being flirtatious. I'm being fun. I'm asking for help. And that gave me a lot more. I got a lot more of what I wanted other than the competing there. And I really was open and received by men. I just really found that to be a much better strategy.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And it sounds like it felt better in your book. Yeah.
It felt so much better because I wasn't fighting. I'm not combative, right? I'm a ray of sunshine. What I did want to sort of lastly finish off with, like, so if someone comes to work with you, so one, why would they come and work with you?
Yeah.
And then what would happen when they come and work with you?
Yeah, I guess people come for different reasons, and that's sort of changed over the kind of period of time that I've been working as well as I change. But people often come for this kind of idea of I feel dry, I feel tense, I feel tight, I can't relax. I this elusive feminine, if they use that language, but it's like I know there's something missing, and I don't want to live like this. Can you help me find my way back, to that aspect of, or find that aspect, discover that aspect of myself, find my way back to my body, get out of here. Yeah. So that's one big thing that people come for. And that is the journey that I took. So it makes sense that people would come,
Yes.
and they often, when people look at me, they kind of go, and I'd say I was in corporate and used to wear my power
They
suits and
could
go,
never imagine it, no.
yeah. But I did, and I was, and I'm still that same person, but I've been able to stretch into this other aspect of own this other aspect of myself as well. Yeah. So that's one aspect. Other times people are coming for sexuality specific things. So, that translates into the bedroom. Absolutely. I can't relax. I'm in my head. I can't feel my body. I can't allow myself to have pleasure.
Yeah.
I can't, let myself be open to receive, from the man or the partner or anything like that. So, what we talked about earlier about that totally goes into the bedroom. So people are coming for that. Can't orgasm. I haven't ever orgasmed. All of those types of things. For couples, again, it's kind of like what we're doing isn't working, or we've lost connection with each other, or it's become bland or boring or non-existent, or we're getting a little bit older, and so those kind of high levels of, libido or feeling horny or something, we don't have that.
Yeah, we're not humping each other's legs anymore.
Oh, exactly. So we're, sitting down reading the newspaper or something instead, which is totally fine. But it's like some people are going, actually, we want to see if there's still something.
Yeah, I did. That wasn't fine for me. I was like, I'm not willing to have a sexless marriage. I was like,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah. And then other people come on the other kind of end of that spectrum. They come for there's been trauma or abuse in their background. So the way to work with people is slightly different depending on where they're coming from. But all of it is about helping them find the ways back into here and here, if that's where they're coming from. Yeah. And to help to take off the things that have become the bricks on top of their natural kind of vibrancy, energy, ability to feel pleasure, ability to feel safe in their bodies and their past experiences, their beliefs, their conditioning from society, their shoulds that we've put on ourselves. And they all just are there as kind of acting as these locks that stop us from just breathing and being and following our kind of more natural impulses,
Yeah.
even and especially including being able to have pleasure in this body while we're here.
Yeah. No, I love that. And so when I hear like, if you just feel dead, like, you just know, like, when I mean, I did all the mindset work, I did all the spirit, like, I did it all, and I was just like, "What is it? I just don't feel. I feel bland. This cannot be life. This cannot." And that's why I took myself off to Cuba. I'm like, "I refuse. I refuse. I refuse to live through this mundane, boring as shit as life." Like, even adventure wasn't exciting me anymore. And I'm a real adventure buff, like jumping out of an airplane. I've done it 6 times. Like, it doesn't excite me anymore. There must be more to it. And so I encourage you, like, if you feel that, if you see, if you don't feel that, right? But if you think that, right? It's in the zone, right? You think that. Like, 'cause you're not feeling, right? It's be like, it really, like, and it's annoying. It's a disconnection. It's just like no matter what you do, it's just blah. That's when you want to come and explore Tantra and get back in touch with your body, with your senses, with your feeling. And I just encourage anyone to give it a go and know that, as I said, yes, the orgies are a thing if you want them to be, but it's not all about that. And I also just want to talk to the sexuality of couples. They, like, somehow in the West, and Esther Perel, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of her. She's really great around her. She's like, somehow in the West, we've accepted that your long-term relationship, whether marriage or not, just becomes bland and disgustingly boring and sexless, and that's normal. Like, that seems to be normal, but it's not. Like, it's not normal. And if you want to live like that, by kudos to you. But if you are more for yourself and your partner, and we're living longer and longer, man. We are living longer and longer. So if you just want to be in a boring ass relationship, cool. But if you don't and you want to explore what the options are, especially as we get older, as our body changes, as we change, come and check out Tantra. Like, it's exciting. And it's gonna freak you out. But that's the fun part of it, right?
Yes, 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 yes. You're already in the safe, comfortable zone, so yeah, stretching out a bit will bring some stuff up.
Yeah, and that's why I say always go to people like Alison. Like, I'm sure there'd be some online course, but again, it's not experiential. You have to experience it, but you want to do it in a safe space, and that's why you work with someone like Alison, because she's been through it, but also she guides you through that stuff, right? Because doing it on your own, like, how do you know you're doing it right? And then it also stuff comes up, and I'm always like, if you could have done it on your own by now, you would have.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. That is exactly true. Yes, yes.
So was there anything else you'd like us to cover before we wrap up?
I mean, I think we've covered a lot. Then you were talking about the aging piece, and that goes for women going aging and then going through menopause, perimenopause, menopause. There's so much more information about that now. Not a lot of it talks about sexuality though. And also for couples as they're aging, the thing that Tantra brings is that it expands the playing field, especially with sex, because it's not just about feeling horny. It's not just about the physical. It becomes this kind of energetic, there's an energetic dimension to it. There's a slowing down, the agenda's off, the pressure to perform in any certain way is gone, and connection becomes the priority. So whether that's connection with yourself or connection with another, that's what leads the way. So it just, for me, has had and will continue to have, I'm sure, this ever expanding field of possibility. And that's why I think it's also very important for us today.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, especially as we do get older, and sometimes men do experience they can't get up anymore. And then, the intercourse, the actual physical intercourse is not always a possibility, but there's so many other ways to explore ourselves and each other. So, and what did she say? Just because of your age doesn't mean you're dead. What was it?
Okay, I can't remember what it was.
I remember it was something like that.
Aging is not it.
It's dead fresh when you're tail or something. But then Bay says that's right. I love that. I have so enjoyed this interview. I think it took us a while to get there, but I just think, because it's such a nuanced topic, isn't it? And but it's so beautiful, and it's I so feel it so strongly. It's such a sensual and beautiful thing to explore, and I'm excited. Personally, I haven't done Tantra, so I'm personally excited to explore it myself.
Yeah.
And so, so thank you for doing your wonderful work. I think, and thank you for sharing it. And because I think if there wasn't people like you in the world, we'd all be boring as robots. So thank you, Alison. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was wonderful to have that chat with you, and thanks for your openness and your amazing questions. Yeah. And doing this podcast.
I know, right?
These ideas to the world. That's amazing. Thank you.
Now that I swivel on my chair.